Well, good morning and welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is our Giving Sunday. This is the time in the church year where we talk about gifts and talents, resources and needs, desires and services. We are happy to have you here. My name is Reverend Susan Suchoki Brown. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I and the rest of the worship team, lay leaders, and staff choose to share our pronouns because we know people of all genders are whole and loved and welcome. I am so glad you could be here this morning. I am with you while Reverend Suzanne is on her well-earned sabbatical, and she will return in early April. How time flies when you're having fun. We are a church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands, and all who share our values are welcome here with us. And now let us join together in welcoming one another, and do that by turning to the person beside you, behind you, in front of you, behind, across the aisle, and to our people at home. We want to thank our helpers this morning. I know that you will want to appreciate very much our coffee host, Florence and Vince, and our usher is Mary Ellen, and our greeter was Mary Beth, and we thank them. Yes, there they are. It was very heartwarming last week to see so many people interested in talking about the budget and staying to hear the financial reports. You can make a big difference in those meetings by attending and hearing and listening and getting information and knowing who to go to make your opinions known. I know that you are a very giving place, and a place that cares deeply for one another and for the future, not just of this community church, but of the wider community. And I am very glad that our faith tradition, Unitarian Universalist denomination and faith tradition, is represented so well by you. And I have a couple of announcements this morning. We have first Chuck Foley, who is co-chair with Don Bissix of this year's pledge drive, and he's going to share some pertinent information with us now.
Good morning. I'm Chuck Foley. I'm the co-chair of this year's pledge drive along with Don Bissix. Very happy to see everyone here today, especially so that you can hear the message from Reverend Susan and also experience the art project led by Michelle DeVoe, which is in conjunction with our theme this year, Transforming. I also want to just very briefly acknowledge and give a hearty thanks to folks that have been really important to the pledge drive this year, starting with my co-chair, Don, and also our collector, Wendy Mastronardi, who is the perennial glue person of the pledge drive, and also to our church administrator, Felicia Ryan. The announcement is that we have set up a table in Parish Hall for after the service, and we have the envelopes with the pledge materials and pledge forms for each of you. So please stop by that table, and or Don and I are going to split between standing at the table and circulating in coffee hour to hand out those envelopes. And we're not expecting anyone today necessarily, but there is an envelope for there is a box that you'll see, it's quite prominent, for the return of your pledge forms. But there's lots of ways to return them. So thanks.
And so part of being a member and pledging is wanting to know why somebody's a member and what makes them want to be a part of the church. And this morning, Charlie Kelly is going to come up and share. Charlie? Wherever you're comfortable.
I'll do this one. So I'm, yes, here. Yeah. Hi. I'm Charlie Kelly, he, him, his. This is my second year at MUUC. I joined last spring. The reason that I attend this church is it's really close to my apartment. 5 minutes of material, so. Also, I wrote this before last night when I crushed it in the trivia, so now I've got way more reasons. Anyway, so my parents started attending a Unitarian Universalist fellowship in Center County, Pennsylvania, which is next to Penn State main campus, when I was 11. And before that, we had attended just whichever local church needed an organist. I should mention that my dad is an organist, because otherwise that's a weird criteria. Anyway, so my early religious education covered a pretty broad theological range, but by the age of 11, I was pretty sure that whatever they were putting down, I was not picking up. So anyway, then we were UUs, and I did the AYS back before they renamed it after a clever bird. And that's what we did on Sunday mornings. And they had a choir with lyrics that didn't make my skin crawl. So then after high school, I joined the Air Force, and I was stationed in Phoenix, and they had a UU church there, and so I went there. And then in college in Santa Fe, I went to the UU church there, and then also in San Diego and New Haven, and both UU churches in Worcester, and then Waltham. And I would probably still be attending the First Parish in Waltham, except during quarantine, I discovered that this girl I'd had a secret crush on since fourth grade was not only living in Greater Boston, but was romantically available. Long story short, I live with her now, and in an acute angle overlooking the Shaw's parking lot. And this is my church, and it's really close. Anyway, that's my time. You've been great. Remember to tip your waiters.
This morning for our opening words, we're going to practice saying out loud our mission and vision statement, and I'm going to have us do it in a responsive reading fashion. So I will say our vision statement, and you will say that with me. So we're going to say it in unison, okay? We envision a dynamic faith community. Oops. Oh. All right, yay. We envision a dynamic faith community that nourishes our liberal religious values, love, reason, conscience, and action. We foster lives of integrity, joy, and service to each other, to Melrose and the neighboring communities, and to the world. Now, Bill, this is what you'll see in your pledge packet, and that helps us to envision how we're going to make that vision come real. We have transform, inspire, give, gather. And this is how we use the resources that you present to us. And now if you would join me in the responsive reading as we do our mission. So our next slide. At MUUC, we nurture and challenge ourselves to deeper understanding, meaning, and purpose. Next slide. We gather. And then we inspire. And then we give. And we transform. You worked hard to come up with that vision and mission statement, and it is something that you will live with and you'll tweak a little bit, and it is something that you will embody and something that you will make real. So it is good to say it aloud with one another. And now to light the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, the flaming chalice, is Don Bissix, co-chair with Chuck Foley of this year's pledge drive.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join me in the words of our covenant, which you will see on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. To quench for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. Please remain standing, and we're going to be singing hymn number 299, Make Channels for the Streams of Love.
And Florence is going to share with us this morning a story called The Caterpillar and the Pollywog.
So our story today is The Caterpillar and the Pollywog by Jack Kent. Caterpillars aren't like other folks. As ducks and hippopotamuses and you and I get older, we get bigger, especially hippopotamuses, but not caterpillars. They turn into butterflies. Turning into something else like that is not a thing just anybody can do. Down by the pond, there lived a caterpillar who was very proud of being different. She bragged about it to her friends. "When I grow up, I'm going to turn into something else," she told the snail. "That's nice," said the snail, who really didn't care one way or the other. "When I grow up, I'm going to turn into something else," she told the turtle. "I don't blame you," said the turtle, who didn't much like wiggly things. "When I grow up, I'm going to turn into something else," she told the pollywog. "What fun," said the pollywog. "What are you going to turn into?" But the caterpillar hurried on her way, looking for someone else to tell her secret to. "I wish I could turn into something else when I grow up," said the pollywog. "You will," said the fish. "All pollywogs do." "What am I going to turn into?" the pollywog asked. But the fish saw a tasty bug and dashed after it. "When I grow up," said the caterpillar, who had circled the pond and was going around for the second time. "When I grow up," she told the pollywog again, "I'm going to turn into something else." "So am I," said the pollywog. "You?" The caterpillar was so surprised she almost fell into the pond. "The fish said so," the pollywog told her. "Fish know things. They go to school." The caterpillar was upset. "I thought only caterpillars could do it," she said rather sadly. "What are we going to turn into?" the pollywog asked. "Well, I'm going to turn into a butterfly," said the caterpillar. "Then I guess I will too," the pollywog said happily. "What fun, let's do it together." "All right," the caterpillar agreed, although she would rather have done it alone. "But I get to go first." The pollywog didn't mind. He wasn't at all sure how it was done. "I'll watch you," he said. So when the time came, the caterpillar started to spin a cocoon. "This is the tricky part," she said. The pollywog watched as the caterpillar spun. Soon, only her head was uncovered. "Now I have to close the lid," she said, "and when I come out, I'll be a butterfly." "Go ahead," the pollywog said excitedly. "I want to see you do it." "It will take a while," the caterpillar warned. She started spinning again and was soon out of sight in the cocoon. For a long time, nothing happened, but the pollywog was patient. He watched and watched and watched for days and days and days. At last, there was activity in the cocoon. The end of it opened, and very, very slowly, the caterpillar climbed out. Only she wasn't a caterpillar anymore. She was a butterfly, a beautiful yellow butterfly. The pollywog was so excited, he hopped up and down with delight. He hopped up and down like a frog. "I was so busy watching you," he said, "I didn't notice what was happening to me." "You're a very handsome frog," the butterfly said, as she flew off to try her new wings. But the frog was puzzled. "I thought I was going to be a butterfly," he said. A caterpillar wiggled by. "When I grow up," he said proudly to the frog, "I'm going to turn into something else." But the frog wasn't listening. He was admiring his reflection in the water. "I am, you know, a very handsome frog," he said. The end. And the children can now join me in RE.
We have the beginnings of a butterfly over on the wall. And next week, we will see if it becomes more butterflies or a frog. Every Sunday at the heart of our service, we create time together, we create together a time of quiet and a moment to have prayer and meditation, a chance to reconnect with our inner selves, our highest ideals, and our sense of holy, however it is that we conceive of it. So I would invite you to begin this time by closing your eyes and breathing deeply. And breathe in and out as you feel your feet on the floor. Feel your body relaxing as you breathe in and breathe out. You just sink into your seat and be comfortable breathing in and breathing out. During this time, we'll first join together in our centering song. And the centering song for March will be In Greening Lands. And then we will sit for a few moments of shared quiet. And then we will speak to one another of joys and sorrows. And then I will lead a prayer. So breathe in and out and be guided by the music. Let the song guide you gently. as is our tradition, we will be sharing joys, concerns, and sorrows with one another, those milestones, our personal joys and sorrows. We speak and we listen with care so that our sharing will knit us together in love and in community. If you have a sorrow to share, please type it into the chat box now, and I'll read them aloud after anyone in the sanctuary has shared. Well, thank you for sharing your joys. It is always a pleasure to hear the celebrations, joys that are happening in one another's lives, and know that you never have to leave here without being heard and without being held in love and in care. So we light a candle now for all those joys and for all of you, and letting our candle shine out for the many blessings we have in our life. My prayer this morning is from the poet Nancy Wood. It is in the Gray Hymnal, and she said, "My help is in the mountains, where I take myself to heal the earthly wounds that people give to me. I find a rock with sun on it and a stream where the water runs gentle, and the trees which one by one give me company. So I must stay for a long time until have grown from the rock, and the stream is running through me, and I cannot tell myself from one tall tree. Then I know that nothing touches me nor makes me run away. My help is in the mountain that I take away with me. May you find peace and your rock of support today and this week. May it be so. Amen."
Now is the time for our offertory. Our church is a self-supporting organization funded by your generous annual pledge. You may also contribute to our weekly collection plate, which we split every month with a deserving cause. Folks on Zoom can donate either way using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. For the month of March, we are proud to share half of our collection plate with the Opening Doors Project, an organization which grew out of one of this church's ministry teams. The Opening Doors Project seeks to amplify voices of color and advance conversations about race through the arts. Our anthem today, in keeping with this month's theme of transformation, is called Change. The words and music are by Carlson, Golan, and Puth.
What a waste it would be
There's a couple of styles that ministers use when addressing a congregation's annual pledge drive, and there really are different ministerial attitudes about money. Some ministers are able to give these award-winning sermons to be presented at General Assembly. Some ministers are able to tie the giving of the church mission in such a way that the members and friends are writing out huge checks, right, that don't bounce, right in the middle of the sermon. Some ministers tie a really compelling way of weaving together the mission and the vision and the goals. I tend to be more pragmatic and practical. I like and find it really exciting to think about a covenant, a mission, a vision of a church, and how that is made manifest. I'm not afraid of budgets, income and loss statements, and I served in the UUA Board of Trustees and its Finance Committee, and I enjoyed knowing where the money was going. One year there was a deficit of about $12 million, and I went to look for a finance report. I went from office to office, and they told me, oh, we don't publish those anymore because no one's interested. No one? I said, then why am I standing here? And they said, well, you're unusual. Ministers don't care to talk about financial statements. Well, I do care. I do care. They're important. And I really wish that budgets could be more spiffy. For I know that you have two ministry teams that Unitarian Universalists are really excited about and are willing to give their resources to. And those two teams are a racial justice team and an environmental justice team. Their topics that you use all over have interest and resources and time, energy, and want to put their money in, and they're not highlighted enough in your materials and in your budget. You need to spiff it up. I can't believe I use that word. But it's really a spiffy word. And when your budget looks spiffy, you attract potential new people. I know when a budget makes me want to put my money into it or not. It's like going to Starbucks. I don't do that very often, but occasionally I'll go to Starbucks and I just pour over that menu and drooling at all of the possibilities. Now, I usually pick a caramel macchiato latte with real cream and a dash of cinnamon, hint, hint. I get here at 9. I'll be back here March 31st. But I know that it's a spiffy investment and I know where I'm putting my money. So don't be afraid to talk about your pledge. Don't be afraid to talk about money. You need it. You need it. You are truly fortunate. You have a lovely building. It's right down the road from a train station. It is across from a library. You have a beautiful front foyer. You have a great meeting hall. You have a nice, warm, welcoming worship space. I mean, it's a beautiful building. Yeah, she needs a little tweaking here and there, but, you know, when you get to be middle-aged, who doesn't, right? She's an asset, and she's a liability, and she costs money. And it takes resources. Strategic planning is on the agenda for thinking about how to make this building even more accessible, welcome, and attracting to more people. So it takes a property committee, volunteers, and it takes the money from the endowment. And you're fortunate enough that you had some money that was given over the years to you, and you have an endowment fund, and they give you part of the money each year, and you need that. But that money's not going to last forever. You have to take care of yourself in the here and now. And the next steps, you're talking about charting a course for the future. You're fortunate. You have expertise, you have endowment, and you have money too many UU churches that I know about in my Central Mass area have just blown through their endowment, have blown through everything, and they're teetering on the edge. You are not. You are teetering on the edge of new growth and new possibilities and a transformation. You have new things coming. And I know it's challenging not to have this scarcity mentality. I'm a New Englander. I'm a born and bred New Englander. My folks were treasurers of the Gardner UU Church, so that tendency to think there is not enough is strong. But you really are very strongly situated to break out of your scarcity thinking. I want to tell you a story about breaking out of that thinking and about transformation of thinking. I was visiting my mother, a blessed memory, back in the 80s, and she was fretting over her pledge return statement. She and my dad and my beloved Grampy Faye, who lived with us, were a family that would be, I suppose, called an upper middle class family. We had 2 cars, a home. We had some annual vacation away. We had some perks. My dad had died a few years ago, and in 1977. My mom was still working as a registered nurse. We 4 kids were all out of the house. She was not rich, but certainly not struggling. And there she was, fretting over her annual pledge. Her annual pledge had been $150 for many, many years. And she was contemplating going up $1 a week more. Mom, I said, that's not like you. That's so not like you. You are a generous woman. You love the church. They've been your support since Dad died and all during the grief with my sister Patty's tragic death. They have been your fun place. You go to trivia nights. Trivia wasn't around then, but she went to every event that they had. You're on the search committee. You play bridge with all the women. You were on the search committee for, and you know, if any of you remember Reverend Bob Jones, who was minister here, well, he'd been in Gardner before you stole him away. My mother loved him. Mom, I told you, you have been a member of the Gardner Unitarian Universalist Church my whole life, your whole life, and you're being stingy by only giving $50 more a year. You spend more on that at Dunkin' Donuts. You spend more on that going to the movies, and you spend much more on that by going to Christmas tree shops. She would be devastated to know that they'd closed. You can give more. And she increased her pledge to $750 for that year and each year after until she died in 1993. She increased her pledge by 50%. Now that's a stretch. That's a transformation. She broke out of her scarcity mentality. I was proud of her and really happy, and I know, what can you do? I know you want to do. I know you're generous people. I know this is a time of renewal and transformation for you, and you have a wonderful opportunity to reassess your goals, your direction, and to transform. Now, transformation, that's an action word. It is doing something different. And today there's just 2 components of that word that I want to mention. One is transparency and realism. Transparency in budgets, in resources, in planning, in goal setting, in communication, and realism. And that's the practical aspects of trying and trying again, understanding who you are, and trying again, and adjusting and readjusting. That's what transformation is all about. It's always a challenge to meet goals. that it is really exciting to know that Unitarian Universalist congregations, we're self-supporting. The government, the UUA, the state, the federal government, the local government can't interfere with us. We are self-supporting. And we are free to do with the money that we see fit in a way which furthers the congregation's visions. And your vision is to be a freely gathered group of individuals who envision a dynamic faith community that nourishes liberal religious values of love, reason, conscience, and action. Your pledge is a gift and an expression of love. Now, you may wonder about the commitment of time and work instead of money, and you want to know, doesn't that count? Yes and no. The answer is yes, it does count, and no, because you need resources of money to continue to gather together. Your church, I can truly say, is a loving, thriving, fun, caring, and meaningful place. And it's that because of the contributions of time and work and of money. That is how you will become viable. And this is a place of a living history, and with your support, you can continue to come together as UUs who believe in reason and conscience, and who support and sustain places where ethical opinions and standards can be explored. We're gathering to celebrate life, and the mystery of being human is important. And we're coming to strengthen one another, and finding a voice for social justice is so incredibly vital. I want you to take a couple minutes now and turn to a person beside you, or maybe a person that you don't know. And I have two questions that I ask you to kind of reflect on a little bit. They'll be posted up here. What's happened in this congregation in this past year that is truly important to you? One. And what aspect is more meaningful right now in this stage where you are in your spiritual life and in your life? So go ahead, take a couple minutes and turn and have some conversation. Thank you for sharing with one another. I know that you can find a lot more depth and conversation of that maybe at fellowship time or maybe at some other time, or find some other question, but think about what's important to you and what's important about the future. This past year that you should feel pride about and of the future of who you are. And I hope that'll lead you thinking about how much you will pledge for this coming year. And may it be so. And we have our closing hymn, which is 1020 in the teal hymnal, Wo Ya Ya. And would you say the words with me while we extinguish the chalice? We extinguish this flame. Our service has ended, but not our time of being of service to the larger world. Go and be a blessing to the world. Go and be blessed. And I invite you to sit and enjoy this postlude from Tom. Thank you for worshiping with us this Sunday.